Good morning, everyone. This is Dick Fleming. I was a member of 1st Force Recon and Battalion Recon. Joined the Marines in 1967. Was in Viet Nam 1968, 69. So I have a number of stories that I'd like to tell you about my time in the Marine Corps, and I hope that you enjoy them. I wrote a number of them in my book, Chasing Charlie, which was published about 10 years ago. But I still have a lot more. You can also see some pictures of my time in the Marine Corps under my website, firstforcerecon.com. It's spelled out, firstforcerecon.com. And you can see links and that on the website to other resources that you might enjoy. Today I'd like to tell you about my second day in Vietnam, and I'll put on my old bush hat to get myself in the mood and shield my eyes. But this was I had come into country the day before, and I was assigned to 1st Recon Battalion, actually 1st Platoon, 1st Recon Battalion. And the team that I was assigned to was out in the bush at the time, and so I had the entire hooch all to myself. And that night I went to sleep, and in the morning, good morning, Vietnam. I heard a bunch of noise in the hooch next to me, and all of a sudden, all of the men came pouring out of their hooches, and they were grabbing their flak jackets and helmets, and I stuck my head out the door, and I yelled out, "What's going on?" And they said, "Grab your gear, man. The 3rd Platoon's in trouble. We're moving out." Well, grab your gear. I didn't have any gear. I hadn't even been given a rifle at that point. But I looked around the hooch there, and I found a helmet and a flak jacket. An old flak jacket, ripped up, but it would do the job, I guess, if I didn't get hit in the wrong place. So I put that on. Didn't have any web gear. Didn't even see any canteens or anything lying around that I could scarf up. So out I went to join the others. My heart was pounding. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know where to go. And I just followed all of them as they ran down toward the landing zone. And Battalion Recon there, hooches were built on the side of a hill overlooking the large area of rice paddies below. It was beautiful location. You could see for miles, and in the distance you could see the mountains that we used to run our patrols in. There was the Seabees had constructed a walkway that connected the hooches, which were lined up one right next to the other. 1st Platoon was in the first obviously the first hooch, and the 2nd Platoon, 3rd Platoon, etc. And at the end was the latrine. And it was the walkway was about 10 feet off the ground, something like that. So you really had a good vista looking out over those rice paddies. It was really beautiful. But at the time, I didn't have it was still getting light, and so I just followed everybody as they streamed on down to the landing zone. And when I got down there, it was a complete chaos. Everybody was milling around, grabbing, getting their gear in place, and talking to one another. And there was a clutch of officers on one side with the radio man, and they were obviously in touch with somebody. And they were all hunched around the radio operator as he made contact with the team. Well, apparently the 3rd Platoon had run into an NVA base camp, and we're in a running firefight trying to avoid being captured. So we were going to be a reactionary force sent out to help them, and the entire company was down there practically. Everyone. I saw the Pogie that was had signed me in down there, strapping gear on, and for all I know, the cooks would have been there as well. The company wasn't very big, maybe 35 men, something like that. I don't know what the exact company size normally is of a marine company, but we were not. They were not up to their staffing levels at that point. So I didn't know where to go because all of the men were attached to different teams and different platoons, and everybody had their own place in the platoon: the radio operators, the patrol leaders, etc. Got to get my cat here. He starts. This is Annie, and she keeps jiggling the tripod. Say hello, Annie. All right. I got Huck and Annie here. Other than that, I'm all alone. And Annie is rubbing against the tripod. So I went over to where I saw a corporal who was. Let me get out of here. The corporal was doling out ammunition. And I went over to him and I said to him, I'm new in country. What should I be? What should I do? Who should I go with? And this guy looked up at me and he was really busy, and he says, "How the hell do I know where you're supposed to be?" So I didn't know what to do. I looked at him, he looked at me, and he said, "What's your MOS?" I said, "Machine gunner." He said, "Oh, machine gunner. Okay, well, I got something for you." And he reached down and he gave me two of these ammo boxes full of machine gun ammo. I guess there's about 100 rounds in a box, and they weigh about 20 pounds, something like that, when they're full of the 7.62 millimeter machine gun rounds. The belts that were fed for the M60s. Those are the NATO rounds. So he gave me two of those, and then he strapped on, grabbed from a pile of rocket launchers that he had on the side. He strapped two laws on my shoulders. And these were about 3.5 feet long, something like that. They only weighed about 6 pounds apiece. They were very light, made out of fiberglass. They were little rocket launchers, and so those I had each one of those strapped on each shoulder, and I had these two ammo boxes that were on that were given to me, and he filled up. He gave me some grenades, and I stuffed them into my pockets of my camouflage jacket because I didn't really have the web gear that a Marine would normally carry, and I didn't even have a rifle at the time. So he looks down at me and he shakes his head, and he says, "You can't go out into the bush with those boots. Those are those aren't your normal jungle boots. How you'll be slipping all over." He goes, "You better stay behind." Well, in my first day in country, basically, second day in country, and I was all prepped, to go out and help save my comrades. And of course, I wanted the experience at the time. That's what I joined the Marine Corps for. Adventure. I wanted adventure. Well, I got adventure, let me tell you. So I said, no, I'll be all right. Well, it turned out that guy really taught me a lesson that I only thought about later. And that's, if you don't take care of yourself, not going to too many people are going to take care of your, take care of you. You have to think. You have to always think for yourself. And if I had thought to myself, I should have realized that I had no business being there. I didn't have the equipment, I didn't have the training, and most of all, I didn't have the support of the other men, of the team where we took care of one another and everyone looked out for one another. And I didn't have that. I was really just going to be a pack mule, carrying around this ordinance for somebody else. And I probably would have been killed the first few minutes if we had ever gotten into contact. I was an obvious target with all of this crap hanging all over me. The laws, sticking up like this on either side, hauling these two 20-pound containers full of ammo. Oh man, what was I thinking? What were they? Whoa. Anyway, so I trottled over to where a group of other Marines were sitting in the lane there against the partition by the LZ there, and they were all geared up. They had their water, they had their packs, they had their canteens, they had their weapons, and they were just laying there, like this, looking around, leaning up against their packs. Packs were supporting them like the back of a chair. And they were sitting there and they were talking with one another, and I overheard them say, "Man, this isn't good. We ain't equipped for this shit." And the other one said, "No, you're right, man. We're gonna be screwed out there." And I thought to myself, how can these guys say something like that? I mean, they got their comrades are out there in big trouble. You'd think they'd be gung ho to go out there and save them. But no, these guys were sitting there and worrying that they weren't going to be able to help them at all. And later, I realized that they were right. We were a very lightly armed compared to an NVA. A serious MVA company, similar to the Grunts. Man, we didn't have heavy machine guns. We didn't have mortars. We didn't have anything. We traveled light, and we just didn't have the skills either. We hadn't been, maybe most of us had gone through advanced infantry training and, learned the techniques theoretically on how to engage an enemy. But small unit tactics and things like that. But we weren't ready for any serious combat in that sense. On a one-to-one basis, on a six-man team, reconnaissance team, we were probably one of the most deadly units ever to walk the ground of Viet Nam. And we were suited for that environment. But if they expected to take us out of that environment and put us into a situation where we'd be in traditional combat with another enemy force, well, that was going to be a problem. Well, I heard some commotion over by the officers there. They were all getting up, and I figured for sure that the helicopters would be coming in to take us out soon. But instead, the major stood up and said, "They're okay, boys. Stand down. They got them extracted." And with that, a cheer went up. "Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah, yeah. I don't think anybody wanted to go out of this reactionary force." Well, about 10 minutes later, we heard the sound of the helicopters coming in. Whoop, 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 whoop. And the C-46 landed, came down, scattering the dust all over the place. And the ramp came down all the way, and the 3rd Platoon exited the helicopter. And they were pretty surprised to see everybody, and even more surprised when we gave them a cheer. Hurrah, hurrah. and they saw all of us waiting around the LZ there. To them, it seemed like it was just another patrol, and they had been in contact, but they weren't expecting anything like a reactionary force to be sent out after them, apparently. So that was my second day in Vietnam. We all went back up the hill. I got rid of my gear and went to breakfast with everybody else. And it was a couple more days, and my team, the first platoon, came back from the bush, and I'll tell you about that in another video. Thank you for your support, and if you like my stories, appreciate it if you could to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment and perhaps a like button. I'll talk to you again. Thank you.